Hello everyone, I hope you're having a great day. This is Cassie. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm over on the Rabbit Hole Designs blog today, so I'll have that linked down below so you can go check it out, but we're going to be using some of these really neat products. This set is brand new to the Rabbit Hole Designs and it's called Sassy Anti-Valentine. I'm going to pair it up with this beautiful set called Pretty and Peony, and I think it's fun to combine a pretty and a snarky little sentiment to see what we get. I'm just showing you this because this is how I store my stamps. I typically just cut off the top and then I keep the regular packaging. This way it saves a little money and I don't have to worry about that sticky back losing any of its sticky when you open it and close it to take out your stamp. The paper I've chosen to use today is some Strathmore Bristol Smooth paper, and because I plan to do some watercoloring, and I am going to put the peony inside of my Misti, use my anti-static powder tool, ink up the peony with some VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink, and then I'm going to stamp that down. While there is still a little bit of ink on my stamp, I'm going to stamp that down onto some masking paper, and then I'm going to cover my peony with some Icicle embossing powder by Brutus Monroe. It's just a clear embossing powder. So then I will heat that till that is smooth and melted. And the reason I'm choosing to emboss it, you can completely skip this step, but I'm choosing to emboss it because I plan to do watercolor and I don't want to wait for things to have to dry too much. So this will just allow me a little less time and or a little more time actually, because I can just paint and not worry about things bleeding into each other. Now I will cut out my mask. And to cut out a mask, if you've never done that before, you want to make sure you're cutting right on the line. You don't want to cut outside the line, because if you do that, then you'll end up getting this little halo effect around whatever you're stamping and masking. And that'll just leave like a little blank spot, so you don't want that. I'll peel off the backing paper of that mask. And that mask was just the Icicle Masking Magic. And then I'll put that down on top of my flower. And then I'm going to decide what I want to stamp next. I thought about adding extra flowers to it, but I did want quite a bit of white space. So I'm just going to grab one of the leaves that comes in this set, and then I'll close the door of the Misti, use my anti-static powder tool once again, and then I will ink this up with my VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink, and then we're actually going to end up stamping it again. But I'm kind of lazy and I didn't want to clean off the stamp. So I'm just going to use the packaging from the Peony set and I'll stick that down. It's just some clear acetate basically. And that way I can kind of move this around where I want it and not worry about getting ink on my background without, where I don't want it. And then I'll stamp that down once again. And then I am going to cover this with some more of that Icicle embossing powder. If I'd been thinking, I would have just done it with the mask right on it. But I did peel the mask off. And then, so what that ended up doing is the mask left a little bit of residue, some sticky residue. And so I'm having to use my paintbrush to get rid of some of that embossing powder where I don't want it. And so then once I have that all squared away, we will heat this till that is smooth and melted. And you can tell because it changes color a little bit. And then we'll be ready to start doing some painting. I'm going to use my Arteza Real Brush markers. And if you've watched any of my videos where I use these before, I talk about how I didn't have a whole lot of luck using Bristol smooth paper. And I kept wondering, and I know there were other people that said that too, but I kept wondering, why is everybody else having such great luck and I am not? So I decided to change papers. And what I was using was some Kansan, and I changed to Strathmore, and that has made all the difference. So if you find that you're having issues with the blending, putting your marker right on there and not being able to blend that out, it might be the paper that you're using, the type of Bristol paper that you're using, the brand. So I don't recommend the Kansan. I didn't get that to work very well on Kansan, but I definitely got it to work very, very well on Strathmore. So that has been the key there for me. And so I think I'm going to use these so much more now that I know what kind of paper exactly to use. I was using them and really enjoying them by, using them right onto my glass mat as a palette. So I would color on my palette or on my glass mat and use it as a palette, just using my water brush to pick that up, which is fine. But I feel like this is going to get me to use them even more. So much more, in fact, that I have the set of 48, but I would really like the set of 96. So who knows? Maybe if I get a little Christmas money, I may end up splurging and buying some. Anyway, so if you've noticed, what I'm doing is I'm putting down a darker color, and that darker color is light magenta, and then I'm coming in with a lighter color. This is bubblegum, that pink that I'm drawing it out with. And this is how they were really designed to be used, which is really cool. So you can blend them with each other and not really worry about any like damage of the tips. I love putting that color, that darker color down, coming in with my lighter color to bring that out. You could come in with an even lighter color if you have it, but I'm using my water brush. Now, I am using the Arranger water brush, which is fine, but I am a heavy-handed type of person. So what I mean by that is I hold my pens really, really hard. Like, I squeeze them hard. I don't mean to. It's just how I hold them. It's how I've always done it, even as a child. And it's been a very hard habit to break. So this isn't my favorite type of water brush to use. Typically, I actually really like the Arteza water brushes that they have, because there's a button on the side to get more water to come out. And so you kind of have to work to get that, not work, but you if you want water to come out, you actually have to physically press the buttons, and that will release more of the water. So, and I think the reason I was just using the brush that I was using is because that's what I had. And I had my Arteza water brush in with some travel stuff that I was using too. Now, if you'll notice on these greens, I went in with the darker shade, which is the olive green, and I came back in with some green tea. And then I even came back in one more time with the olive green to darken up some of that green. So you'll see here, I bring it out and I'm thinking, all right, that's really light. I want a little bit more darkness. So I'll bring in that olive green, and it really adds a lot of depth. So it's kind of neat that you can just have two markers and you can add so much depth just using a couple of markers. I think it's so pretty. So as I said, you're going to see me using these quite a bit more frequently in the future, because now that I have the right kind of paper, it just really does make all the difference. I decided I did want a little bit of shadowing around my flower, so I've brought in some Parma Gray, and I'm working in small sections because you know, these can dry if you try to go around the whole thing and then come in with water later. You may have a bit of a hard time getting that color to move quite as much. So I'm trying to go over small sections and then bring in my water brush at that point. Now it looks like I am just moving at, you know, super speed, but I'm not, because I have this sped up twice as fast as I would normally color. So you can still cover a good amount of distance, but yeah, it worked out nicely. So that is what it looks like all colored, and I'm so happy with that. Like, I want to color all the things now with these real brush markers. My sentiment, as I said before, actually comes from the Sassy Anti-Valentine stamp set from the Rabbit Hole Designs, and I love this set. It has so many just fun, snarky little sentiments in there. The Rabbit Hole Designs is good for snarky, let me just tell you that. I just, yeah, love all that. And so that's, I stamped down, love disappoints, tacos don't, which is true sometimes. As you notice, I did bring in some more of that gray blue color on the top, so I wanted there to be a little bit of cohesion from that lower left and that upper right. I'll get my sentiment kind of ready to go, but before I assemble anything, I decided I did want to have a little bit of splatter. I've been obsessed with splatter lately. And so I have grabbed the Pearl Aqua Pigment from Brutus Monroe, which is, it looks white, but it's clear. It's actually clear. So it lands all over your stuff and it leaves this beautiful, clear, you know, splatter. And so I'll show you. I love that. So you have some sparkle and shine, but you don't have anything really disturbed. So you can have that sparkle and shine all over everything, and you just kind of just touch it in the light and you'll see it. My card base is just some blue cardstock that I had from my stash. I think it's some of the old Stampin' Up stuff that I've had for like 17 years. It's nice to know that you can move that around several times like I have, and it's all good to go still. I put some Brutus Monroe foam tape on the back of my panel, and now I'm just going to stick that down onto my card base, and I'm actually going to put a little bit behind the sentiment as well. So even though this was a fairly flat card, I've added just a little bit of dimension by popping up my panel and my sentiment, and I'll use my glass mat to help me line up my sentiment so that it's as straight as Cassie Trask can make it. And then once that's on there, I will flip it over and I will trim off the excess. But I did decide I wanted to have a little bit on the inside, so I am going to grab out my VersaMark ink and take one of the peonies from that, and I'm going to stamp that down so it's beautiful. It gives you this beautiful, subtle watermark, and you know, you can clearly write right over the top of that if you want to, but you still have something on the inside, which is fun when you're dealing with darker cardstocks. The sentiment I've chosen on the inside is love stinks. I just love, like I said, I love pairing up these beautiful stamps along with the snarky sentiments, and you get these just, I don't know, it's just fun. It's unexpected and fun. So that finishes off my card today. As I said, I am over on the Rabbit Hole Designs blog, so again, I'll have that linked down below if you're interested in going and checking that out. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already done so. I typically have lots going on over here. And I just want to tell you all how much I appreciate all the love and support that you guys give. You guys are incredible. So all the liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, all that, y'all are fantastic. And so it does not go unnoticed. So thank you, and we will see you real soon in the next video. Bye.